You got some exciting stuff. I got to tell you, DML has an exclusive video that's going to drop this evening. All right, now listen to what I'm about to say, because this is going to be a bombshell. It's going to be all over the mainstream media, I think. I think that this has got explosive consequences. Dennis has obtained a video of a very senior conservative leader, somebody that is at CPAC, someone that is very influential in the conservative movement. He is allegedly on tape trashing top conservative leaders, including Mark Levin, Ted Cruz, Sarah Palin, Mike Huckabee. He's even on tape, allegedly, trashing the NRA. We're going to see later tonight, Dennis is going to drop some exclusive clips from that video on DennisMichaelLynch.com. You're not going to see it anywhere else. Dennis has obtained it exclusively. He even has said that CPAC doesn't look like America, this guy, and apparently that conservatives are too white. So it's explosive stuff that you typically wouldn't expect from somebody that is, running an organization like CPAC or is connected to an organization like CPAC. But Dennis is going to drop this stuff exclusively tonight. We don't have an exact time yet, but just stay tuned. If you want to stay up to date with all of the latest breaking news that Dennis is bringing to bear, download the app. It's in the iOS App Store and in the Android Google Play Store. Just search for Dennis Michael Lynch. You will get the update there first. You will get the notification there first when he drops this video. Like I said, not going to get anywhere else. So if you want it, go download the app. I'm pretty sure that this is going to break into the mainstream when Dennis does it. So let's get right into it. The first thing that I wanted to touch on is that don't we have an amazing vice president? Mike Pence has been in Europe, and he has been sort of holding the mantle for the Trump administration in terms of some foreign policy this week. And he has been just an outstanding representative of the United States of America and the Trump administration. And you know that he's good when European media outlets and European leaders are singing his praises. They've called him. They said that he has reassured them in their faith that the United States will stand behind NATO and that we all have a common fight against terrorism. And so and the visuals were just fantastic. Mike Pence went to go visit a former concentration camp, and he paid his respects there. He met with top leaders in Brussels and in Germany. He's an amazing representative, and what a contrast to have somebody going and representing the United States abroad, even in a liberal bastion like Europe, and doing us proud. So the major takeaway is that there's actually, the European Council president is this guy named Donald Tusk. It's very close to Donald Trump. I saw this. I was like, is this a typo, Donald Tusk? And I looked him up, and so he's the president of the European Council, based in Brussels, and he's a Polish politician. And he sang Pence's praises. And he said, "Today I heard words that are promising for the future, words which explain a lot about the approach of the new administration in Washington, and that we share common security concerns, and he understands exactly where the Trump administration sits." So hats off to Mike Pence. Mike Pence went on to say in public statement, he said, "Whatever our differences, our two continents share the same marriage, the same values, and above all the same purpose, to promote peace and prosperity through freedom, democracy, and the rule of law." This guy is unbelievably articulate. He vowed to work with Europe in the fight against terrorism. I have a news story here about Britain, somebody from Britain who was an ISIS sympathizer and went to Iraq. He detonated a car full of explosives in Mosul, fighting for the Islamic terrorist group ISIS. So Europeans really have some grave concerns, and so they need us to stand with them to fight this, because there is a tide changing in Europe. We saw it, we've seen it with the French in their election. We saw it in Italy. We saw it with Brexit. Things are changing in Europe. They're starting to abandon, just this total open border policy, that they've realized that it's totally unsustainable. Look, it has nothing to do, with race or religion or any of that. I don't care where you're coming from. You can't take 1 million people and drop them into Germany to assimilate with ease. You can't expect that people that are being taken from war zones and dropped into Berlin are going to be able to assimilate overnight. It doesn't work. It's the dynamics are not right. You can't take these people and drop them into a remote rural town in Germany and expect there to be no problems. And so Angela Merkel and a lot of these the liberal leadership in Europe have been shown that their policy is wrong, and not just wrong but dangerous. And so there's a tide that's changing, and I think that they're going to start following in line with some of what we're doing, here in the United States. Because look, I mean, one of the countries that Donald Trump had included in his temporary travel restriction was Iran. Now, to just demonstrate how different our cultures are, I wanted to talk about this news story that came out, and it's about the Iranian morality police. And there was this girl. She's 14 years old, and it was her birthday. She was hanging out with some of her friends, and she was wearing ripped jeans. They didn't even show any skin. I've got the picture here. You may not be able to tell. It doesn't really even show any skin. It's just kind of like a rip, like nothing to it. It's not scandalous or anything. And they were picked up by the Iranian morality police, and under threat of violence. And they picked up these girls, they put them in the van, and then some female police officers beat the hell out of them. Really beat these girls up. They pulled their hair, slapped them around. These are 14-year-old girls celebrating a birthday. And the only reason that they were released from custody by the Iranian morality police is because they signed a pledge never to do this again, never to wear anything that would be considered provocative. So they actually have a dress code around Iran. Now, this is what I don't understand about Democrats. This should be the antithesis of the Democratic Party platform, if we're to believe it. This is the most anti-feminist thing ever. You just got a young girl wearing some jeans, celebrating her birthday, and police beat the hell out of her just for wearing her clothes. And this isn't an isolated incident. They have these crackdown on anything that's considered un-Islamic acts. So, showing any hair, for instance, if you show hair, that's considered un-Islamic. And so 8 models were just recently arrested and beaten the same way by the morality police there. And you have to remember all of these, homosexuality, adultery, any sort of sexual act like that exists outside of a traditional Islamic marriage is against the law. There, it's can be condemned by death. So these people are the antithesis. These brutal regimes are the antithesis of what modern Western values are, and what the modern Western values of the Democratic Party should be. So why defend them? There's this disconnect that I just don't understand on the left in this country, that they don't look at these. A woman can be stoned to death for not wearing a headscarf. LGBT people can be burned alive for just being who they are. So you can't tell me that people that live within these regimes that espouse some of these values can just be dumped into Western culture and expect that there's going to be no problem. There are going to be problems. I'm not saying that everybody that lives in Iran, subscribes to this. In fact, many people, like this 14-year-old girl, are victims of it. But there are consequences, and we can't just blindly accept that everything's going to be hunky-dory. And, so we'll see, we'll see, if people wake up. But, getting back to Europe real quick, this is a story that I've been tracking for the last few days. So dangerous radioactive particles have been spotted across Europe. Traces of iodine-131. They've been spotted in Norway, Finland, Poland, the Czech Republic, Germany, France, Spain, all in Germany. But the public wasn't alerted, so there were increased levels of these radioactive particles, and they decided not to tell people, hey, something's going on. So the United States Air Force dispatched what they call the Constant Phoenix, which is a WC-135, and it's an atmospheric sniffing jet. So obviously our military we were at least curious enough to understand. We wanted to understand what was going on. Why was there all of a sudden this increase in radioactive particles across Western Europe? I mean, as far as we can tell, there haven't been any detonations test detonations of nuclear weapons by anyone in the region, because we have seismic data on Europe. So if the Russians were testing, for instance, a nuclear weapon, which they claim that they're not doing anymore, then we would know about it from seismic data. But so this is very peculiar. And so the United States Air Force dispatched this jet to try to figure out like what's going on. And the goal of this constant Phoenix atmospheric testing thing is to understand, it's a highly unique aircraft specifically designed for this. And so it samples air over wide swaths of territory so that it can provide some data to scientists to understand, hey, did this come from a reactor? Did this come from a nuclear warhead? Did this come from, from like a submarine that has been decommissioned and is leaking radioactive particles? And it remains to be seen. So this is something that's developing. I just wanted to raise this with you guys because this is not being covered at all in the mainstream media. It kind of, apparently it's not enough to really bring into question people's health. But we'll see. Another story in Europe. There's a lot happening in Europe. There were dramatic moments in a London flight. So there was a flight from Mumbai, India, to London Heathrow. And they lost contact with this plane. It's a big Boeing 777. It was carrying 330 passengers and 15 crew members, and they lost radio contact. So right over Germany. So two German Air Force jets were scrambled. They were Eurofighter Typhoons, and they put them up in the air to try to establish contact. And so there's actually dramatic footage. We'll try to get it up on DennisMichaelLynch.com if it's not already there, of actually a British Airways flight that was about 2,000 feet over it, past it, and you could see these jets, trailing the Boeing 777, and so they were eventually able to make contact over emergency channels. But out of an abundance of caution, the plane was escorted the rest of the way to London. So it's pretty scary moments, actually. They were concerned, and even up until the end, until it made it to ground, they were concerned that this could have been a terrorist incident. We're really lucky that it was not. So, and coming on the heels of, for instance, there was another unresponsive plane near Mar-a-Lago over the weekend in Florida. People are on high alert, I feel like. At least in the media, I think this kind of thing is getting more attention. Now let's move on to, apparently, and this is on DennisMichaelLynch.com, it's a great little story. Obama officials are claiming that Netanyahu rejected a peace deal back in February 2016. Apparently, allegedly, there was a secret meeting in Jordan between Secretary of State John Kerry, that same John Kerry that said that air conditioning units were a greater threat to global stability than ISIS. Guy's totally delusional. I don't even know if that's delusional. I think he's just stupid. Of course, ISIS poses more of a threat to international security than air conditioners and refrigerators. Total idiot. Anyway, apparently the Obama administration was trying to negotiate some sort of peace deal. I don't blame Netanyahu. I put this on Twitter. I don't blame Netanyahu from walking away from that. Given Obama's record of capitulation to Iran and capitulation to terrorist states, I have no reason to believe that the Obama administration would have come up with a deal that would have benefited the United States government or Israel. So I don't blame them for walking away. Any prerequisite, as I can see, for a deal that Obama would sign on to was that the United States government or whoever would have to give over billions of dollars to a terrorist regime, as we did with Iran. So, in exchange for a promise. Excuse my language, but to hell with that. To hell with that. So the Israelis probably realized that they were going to get screwed, and they just said, done, we're going to wait until the next administration comes around. And I believe this will be the biggest deal of Trump's life, and if he can get it done, it will put him down in history as one of the greatest presidents in American history if he can get it done. If he can broker a peace deal between Israel and Palestine, it will be guaranteed. It will be guaranteed that he will go down in history as one of the greatest presidents in our history. So, and I think he can get it done. I think that he's approaching it the right way. He's not giving too much to the Israelis. He's not, he's not giving too much to the Palestinians. He's being tough on both sides, but he's respectful, and I think he can get it done. So, the next thing that let's talk about real quick is immigration. I know this is a favorite of Dennis, so I wanted to make sure I bring it up. So there are over 1 million people on the deportation list in this country. Now, this deportation list was put, that number of about 1 million of deportation orders was calculated as of May 21st, 2016. So, 5 months before Trump's election, over 1 million people were on a deportation list under the Obama administration. These are not people that Trump's even added to the list. 1 million people in the United States here illegally were on a deportation list for committing a crime beyond just being here illegally. Now, there are another 3 million illegal immigrants with criminal records. Now, but let's just deal with this 1 million. Of those 1 million, at this point, only 680 have been picked up by the Trump administration's raids. So when the liberal media and Democrats cry wolf and they say that Trump's going around rounding people up like the Gestapo, it's totally ridiculous. That accounts for, these 680 arrests in sweeps over the last few weeks, accounts for just 0.07% of the people that are already on deportation lists under the Obama administration's classification for their status. So, we've just scratched the surface. I mean, if anything, we should be upset. We should be like, Donald, what's the deal? Like, if these people have criminal records, they're already on a deportation list that came to be under the Obama administration, let's get them out. Let's get them out before they commit more crimes. What are we waiting on? And for the other 2 million people that are here illegally and that have some sort of criminal record, like, what's the holdup? I'm compassionate. And I don't want to break up families. But if you have a criminal record and you're on one of these deportation lists, you're gone. You're gone. And so I'm tired of hearing it. Like, we can talk about feelings and emotions and all of this nonsense that the liberal media is trying to push and that the Democrats are trying to push. But when you look at the numbers, Donald Trump's just scratched the surface. And when you look at why these people are on a deportation list, for committing crimes, for robbing, for moving drugs, why wouldn't you want to get these people out of here? So let's move on because I don't want to blow a muscle here. So let's see. The next thing, and this is less controversial, is the housing market. Now, if you own a house, you're probably sitting pretty. I mean, over the last 10 years or 8 years, your housing prices has rebounded. It's back where it probably was sometime around the boom times. But if you don't and you're trying to get into the market, it's now harder than ever. You got interest rates going up because people are optimistic about the course of the American economy under the Trump administration. Wall Street's doing really well, so the Fed's raising interest rates. Now this has the consequence of keeping a lot of people out of the housing market in the first place, which could pose a threat to the cost of your house in the long term. Now here's why. A lot of people my age. Let's say people 25 to 40. If you look at that demographic, only 30% of people aged 25 to 40 in this country own a home. These people are renting instead. So 70% of the people between the ages of 25 and 40 are renting. This is almost unprecedented in recent American history. It used to be the American dream that you'd go out and buy a house, white picket fence, dog, you get married, and all these things. Well, a lot of young people just can't do it because housing costs are too expensive. We're not building enough homes. Now interest rates are going up. Now, this has the knock-on effect with interest rates going up of meaning that fewer people can afford to buy your house from you when you're ready to retire, when you're ready to get a bigger house, when you're ready to, go move to Florida or wherever you're going. So this has consequence. Now, when you pair this with the news out of major cities like Los Angeles, yesterday in Los Angeles, there was a group there, a liberal group, is pushing this idea of banning large-scale developments. So you wouldn't be able to build an apartment complex. You wouldn't be able to build an apartment tower. You wouldn't be able to build a big development with 200 or 300 homes. The reason that they're doing this is because they're concerned that big developers have moved into their neighborhoods, and then the cost of living has gone up, and so it's making it unaffordable for them to live there. And what these people don't understand is that it's called supply and demand. And so if you restrict large-scale development, if you keep people like Donald Trump from building an apartment complex or a development in your neighborhood, that means that there's less capacity. There are fewer homes to buy. Now there are more and more people that want to buy homes, and so that just means that costs go up even more. These people do not understand basic economics. They don't, they're going to make the problem worse. If your issue is the affordability of home prices, then we need to build more houses. Bottom line. So, what can we do about interest rates? It's beyond the control of somebody like Donald Trump. But what he can do is he can come up with tax incentives and cut regulations so that we can build more homes. And I think that's what he's going to do. I don't know why Obama didn't do it. That should be a bipartisan thing that we can all come to terms with. Now, I want to remind you guys, for you guys that didn't hear at the beginning, DML is going to drop an exclusive video tonight. Nobody else has it. Nobody in the mainstream media. Nobody in the conservative media. He has obtained an exclusive video. Now, I haven't even heard of it yet. This is an exclusive video of a senior conservative leader, somebody that is connected to CPAC, that has run CPAC, trashing conservative leaders like Mark Levin, Ted Cruz, Sarah Palin, Mike Huckabee, even the NRA. He's called them racist. So Dennis is going to drop this video tonight, or at least a portion of it, excuse me, and I think it's going to set the world on fire. I mean, this is a bombshell. So if you want to get access to this video, you need to download the app. That's where it's going to be first. You want to get the app at the iOS App Store or the Android Play Store. Search for Dennis Michael Lynch. We're going to push that content there exclusively first, and then I think this will be all over the mainstream media when we drop the full video. So this guy allegedly even said CPAC doesn't look like America. The conservative movement is too white. That's what's allegedly in this video. We're going to find out tonight. I'll find out with you guys. This is exclusive content from Dennis Michael Lynch. You guys have got to sign up for the app. You got to watch the website for this tonight. I'm not exactly sure when it's going to come out. Probably this evening, maybe 6, 7 o'clock. Stay tuned, because I think this is going to be explosive. So also make sure to share this video. If you love what we're doing and you want to support our mission, if you want to help us hire more staff, build out more shows, if you want to help us build out the studio, go to DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate. It's important that we keep moving forward on that, because it's how we fund this business. And if you can't afford to donate $5, $10, $15, whatever you can afford, then go to the website. If you see an ad that you like, click on it. That's how we keep this thing going. That's how we're scaling. We're going to hire a lot of staff. We're going to build a world-class news organization. If you support what we're doing, share the app with your friends. Tell them to download it. Tell them to like the page. Tell them to go to DennisMichaelLynch.com, read some articles, click some ads, and donate. DennisMichaelLynch.com/donate. It's imperative that we do that. And thank you guys, as always. You guys are awesome. Dennis will be back ASAP. Like I said, watch for that exclusive content tonight. I think it's going to really surprise you.